What's up, Shack Housers? It's your boy, Cy Shackelford, back here again. Shack House. Yes! You know what we're going to talk about this week, kids? We're gonna talk about Forge from the X-Men. Yeah, after Cyclops, he's my favorite X-Man out there. Yeah. And my friends all write him off saying, fuck Forge, he's nothing but a mutant Macgyver. His power's not real. Well, I'm about to prove them all wrong right now. Alright? So sit back and enjoy the ride. Peace!
Okay, first off, who is Forge? Forge is a Native American character in Marvel Comics. He's a frequent off-and-on member of the X-Men. A brief little backstory. He was born to a tribe of Northern Cheyenne Indians, Native Americans, and he was bred to be the next shaman and medicine man of their tribe. However, at the age of 18, he turned his back on his Native American heritage, joined the United States Army, having attained the rank of staff sergeant, and was deployed to Vietnam. During Vietnam, his entire squad was killed, and in a fit of rage, grief, and desperation, he used his shaman abilities to use their souls to open up a portal, letting hordes of demons come down and slaughter the Viet Cong. Realizing what he's done, he called in a B-52 bombing, an arc light bombing on his position. It destroyed the demons, but also destroyed his right hand, his leg, left scars all over his body, and left him in a suicidal depression for several months after he was sent home. He eventually overcame his depression and started concentrating on his mutant powers, inventing, and putting his energies to being a superb inventor. And when Tony Stark stopped making weapons for the United States government, they turned to Forge, giving him loads of contacts, resources, and making him wealthy. So with his power, he probably has a fuck ton of patents that he's still getting rich off of. But what are his powers? What can he do? Forge's mutant power is the ability to perceive mechanical energy. Now, mechanical energy is a combination of kinetic and potential energy resulting from the force of gravity or the movement or release of a machine and its components. His power automatically interprets the functions and operations of any machine or technological device within his visual range, allowing him to instinctively recognize the potential and functional usages of any matter around him. This ranges from being able to instantly identify anything he could use as a lever, the simplest of machines, to immediately developing a working knowledge of space-age futuristic technology at a glance. His mutant power not only increases his understanding of existing devices, but also intermingles with his thought processes to help him intuitively construct new devices. He is able to make incredible leaps of logic and analysis for the creation process. His power not only allows him to intuitively operate, modify, and disassemble existing technology, but the primary use of his power is to invent technology. He can conceive, design, and invent futuristic high-tech devices and equipment within a drastically small amount of time. By focusing on a given situation or problem, possible technological solutions will begin flooding into his mind naturally. He is a genius when it comes to utilizing whatever materials are available to him and create what he needs. By analyzing a need, Forge is able to design specific inventions to work with or against other existing machines or someone else's superhuman powers. He can design power dampeners, shields, holographic image projectors, miniaturizing existing components for a more easily transportable form, maximize power supplies, or make them more efficient, etc. Forge is also equipped with a bionic right leg and hand to replace the ones that he lost in Vietnam. His leg has superhuman strength, able to strike with pile driver force, and he can crush metal with his vice-like grip in his right hand. His hand also has retractable lasers and concussion barrels on the back of each palm, and a magnetic holster inside of his leg that can carry an additional firearm. He can also extend a cyberjack filament from his hand, allowing him to hack into computer systems and cybernetically reprogram their command functions. In addition to his mutant powers, Forge has also been trained since childhood to be the chief shaman and medicine man for his tribe of Northern Cheyenne. As a result, Forge possesses considerable mystical powers, and among them are casting spells, opening and closing dimensional portals, seeing through illusions, astral projection, and utilizing astral bodies for power. However, he's gone years without using these abilities and hence is out of practice in using them. What would happen if his power is deactivated? Well, he wouldn't be able to conceive of and invent new technologies with the same speed and certainty that his powers normally allow him. And while the fields of mechanics and engineering come naturally to Forge because of his power, he still took the time to learn those disciplines and understand them. So while negating his mutant power would not eliminate the knowledge and experience he has accumulated, even if that knowledge came to him partly because of his power. Can Forge compel himself to invent technology without the use of his power? No. Forge does not possess that level of control over his mutant power. It's an autonomic process similar to Wolverine's healing factor. When Forge is focusing on a technological problem and developing a solution, he is overcome by a compulsion to implement that solution in reality. When he was attacked by the futuristic sentinel known as Nimrod in his own home, Forge could feel but not prevent his power conceiving of a design for a time machine after Nimrod demanded that he build him one. Similarly, years before that, after being captured by the techno-organic phalanx, the intellectual challenge provided by them to create naturally born phalanx subverted Forge's control over his own body. It took every ounce of willpower for him to stop himself from creating what the phalanx needed and divert his power to creating a device that would destroy them instead. In light of those two examples, it would be virtually impossible for Forge to engage in a creative process without his power asserting itself on the matter somehow. And while Forge does possess working knowledge of science and technology, his power does not rely on those disciplines when creating a device. Since Forge can literally invent any technology he can imagine, can his inventions defy the laws of physics? Forge is bound by the laws of physics, whatever those may be in the Marvel Universe. He once made it clear that he couldn't create a perpetual motion machine without breaking the laws of thermodynamics. How is Forge's power different from a technopath like WizKid or Madison Jeffries? Well, the latter two not only can mentally construct and reshape technology, as well as plastics, metals, and glass, but they can also hear nearby machines and mechanical systems. Yeah, they hear machines tell them their functional and potential capabilities and what sort of programming they contain. Forge, he can also intuit information about complex machines and electronics, but only in terms of their own schematics. For example, he can look at a computer chip, tell how the parts all go together, what its functional usages are, and even intuit its processing power. But a technopath, he could derive actual information encoded on the chip itself. What are the theoretical and practical portions of Forge's power? Well, whenever he's approached with an idea, "Hey Forge, have you thought about building the better mousetrap?" Or a potential problem, "Hey Forge, how are we going to clear away all this rubble?" His mind begins automatically running through conceptual designs and theories on how to create something for the situation. This is the theoretical portion of his power, a self-guiding autonomic thought process which runs through the design of a working invention, runs the mathematics, equations, and engineering principles involved, critically analyzes and discards inefficient solutions, and so forth, all faster than his conscious mind can process it. If Reed Richards is an actual genius inventor, then Forge is a guy with one of those how to build a fill-in-the-blank in his case, videos playing in his mind but on fast forward. He is fully aware of everything his brain is doing and analyzing. However, the process occurs without his personal direction. It all happens automatically when his power is in play, but he's conscious of all the information his powers provide. Now, the practical portion of his power, which can most aptly be characterized as the Macgyver effect, allows Forge to perceive mechanical energy in his environment. Analyzing all the potential applications of objects in his field of vision, this begins with an instant understanding of any high-tech device or mechanical system he observes, but also extends down to the simplest of machines, the lever. This allows Forge to seamlessly filter and check the theoretical notions against the raw materials that he has to work with around him, ensuring that his idea can be properly constructed in reality. Now, Forge, he could certainly create just about anything that Reed Richards or Tony Stark could conceive of, but the only difference is Forge could not necessarily recreate something after building it once, or explain to someone else how to build it, or even necessarily how he himself built the device. Additionally, if Forge is in a room with raw materials and you tell him to build you a certain device, he'll build it. If you come back a few days later and give him identical materials to build the same device, he'll probably build it the same way. If you give him a different assortment of scraps, he'll build it differently, working with what he's got. But say you give Forge raw materials that perfectly match the original pile, but also has some additional pieces. If using these additional pieces will somehow make the device better or more efficient in some way, then Forge's power will reflexively include them in the design. So he has at least some control over his power, and could probably force himself to ignore these other pieces and build the device again in the original way, using only the original pieces, but he'd have to consciously force himself to not create the best and most effective device possible. In essence, what I've been trying to tell you is...
Motherfuckers like Macgyver. No motherfucker's better than Macgyver.
You get it? Okay, that's all I got for you this week. Check back in movie next week, folks. Later.
Shack House. Yes!